We have previously mentioned the idea of the fall of your 2016 as when there will be the beginning of, the process of, even sometimes the ending of great changes. What we wish to point out is the idea that the fall of 2016 is a focal point. We have previously talked about the span now of your year of 2015 to 2017 having something to do with the idea of finding information, discovering for a fact that life exists on another planet other than your own, in some way, shape, or form. No assumptions need to be made here about what form that is. Life is life. This may actually happen sooner than you think. The idea then is to understand that 2016 in the fall is a focal point of change, a convergence of different paths, different processes, and therefore there can be things that can begin to change quite radically, as you say, before that point and may continue after that point. Some will begin at that point. Some will not appear to begin at that point, but can eventually be traced back to that timing as the beginning point. So some things will be obvious, some things will not be as obvious. But in this span of 2015 to 2017, with 2016 and the fall as the focal point, you'll be able to see the changes as they occur in your life personally and collectively as society, cultures, globally. And we will begin to address the signs to pay attention to. Now, before we do that, again, please understand, as we have said many times, predictions are always sensings of the energy at the time the prediction is made. Part of the reason of giving you signs and indications and discussing this idea is to allow you, again, individually and collectively, to decide what to do with this information and whether you want it to maintain its momentum and manifest, or whether you want to actually get active and do something about altering the course of some of the things that we may be perceiving now as high probabilities. This is an interactive understanding where your participation is absolutely paramount, so that you can chart a course as you shift through billions of parallel versions of Earth every second. You can chart that course in the direction of your preference, allow you to change and shift your energy in such a manner, and continue to choose the state of being that is representative of the kind of realities that you prefer, rather than just assuming that anything we have to say about the probabilities as they stand now must remain fixed, which is not the case. But we are giving you the opportunity to understand what the probabilities are, how we perceive where the energy is, where the momentum is, what the path is that you're heading down at the moment, so that you can take matters into your own hands and make decisions and choices that are more in alignment with the reality that you prefer to experience. Is this clear? Is this clear? Yes. Thank you. So then, as we have said, one of the things as a sign to watch for, to pay attention to, for things that will bring about and activate and initiate and ignite great changes in your society, even though some of these things may be just the beginning, they will amplify, they will magnify. One of them is what we have just said, sometime in this span, and again, perhaps sooner than you think, it will be discovered and it will be a fact in your consciousness that life in some form does exist on another planet other than your own. And as we have said, when this becomes a fact in your culture, it will begin to change the mindset of your culture. It will open up more possibilities. There will be more allowance for the idea of life elsewhere. And that will help accelerate your energy, your consciousness, your awareness in such a manner as to allow for open contact to occur in that window that we originally said of 2025 to 2033, to begin in that window in some fashion. So, the probability now for the discovery in this span of 2015, 2017, with 2016 as the focal point, and maybe again sooner than you think, the probability of this announcement of the discovery of some form of life on another planet other than your own is at present 98%. All right, now, there also are patterns emerging, momentum behind several other pathways on your planet, sociologically, naturally, culturally, economically. One of the signs to watch for right now, very closely, is the idea of any kind of what you would call a burst in the bubble of the economy of the area on your planet you call China. Also to watch for in a similar way will be a burst in the bubble of the economy of the area on your planet that you call Greece. These two, and especially if they happen in close succession, may herald a 90% chance of an economic collapse in several areas on your planet very rapidly thereafter. There is the idea of recovery, but there is also the idea that this will be an opportunity for people to discuss different ways in which monetary exchange may be experienced on your planet, the beginnings of a new dialogue and a new discussion, so that you do not keep repeating these kinds of growth and collapsing cycles, that you begin to recognize there may be other ways to express the concept of exchange in your own life. Whether or not your entire culture adopts this or not is not the case. This is an opportunity, a void, a kind of opening for the possibility of experiencing a new understanding of economic growth, of abundance, exchange. The idea, if these happen, based on the 90% probability for China, 90% probability for Greece, then there is at this point a 78% probability that your country will experience a major collapse somewhere before or around the fall of 2016 in its economic structure. It could be as much as 50%. Those that are familiar with the idea of these kinds of trends will understand that that is what you would call a devastating number. This will require much rethinking, but at the same time, something else will also have a higher probability of happening, ironically, because of the collapse, if it occurs. And this has a high degree of probability of happening on its own anyway. And that is the complete removal of your present taxation system. The idea therein is that this has a lot of momentum behind it, and right now has, again, between a 78 to 87% chance or probability of occurring within the next couple of your years. This will allow for the growth of your economy to come back more strongly and may be necessary as a step in order to offset the probable collapse that could occur. So in the idea that many people may see the collapse as dire, there is actually a bold opportunity to restructure your entire system of how you operate economically and allow yourself for a rapid regrowth in a way that allows far more flexibility, far more freedom, and far more potential for everyone to experience the idea of more abundance in their lives. Again, not necessarily only with money, but with other forms of abundance as well, which must be included in the diagram and description and definition of abundance. One moment. There is at present about a 57% probability in and around that time of what you would call a large-scale natural disaster that will allow for global mobilization to assist. It is not completely definitive exactly where this will take place, but the waves are building at this time. Waves of energy behind this idea. Momentum is building behind a large-scale natural disaster. Whether or not this is a collapse of an ecosystem is not clear, but it will be 57% probable that it will be profound and will perhaps awaken many people to the idea of rebalancing things in nature in a variety of ways. So again, a positive opportunity can arise from what may seem to be a negative experience. One moment. One moment. There will be also what you have referred to as a major sighting of a UFO within this time frame by one of our ships. I am referring to myself as what you know to be the Yael. For again, we have shown you our ships, and there will be another sighting of major proportions during this time frame. So to give you another opportunity to decide whether we are real or not, whether you will include us or not, whether you'll move forward or not. The probability of this is 100%. In terms of the sighting itself, the probability of your response to it is up to you, for that is undecided. But we will give you another shot to see how you react and respond to this sighting. And this will tell us quite a lot about what you wish to do, how you wish to interact. This will also be a possible precedent for certain changes in the revelation of certain information that may come forth toward the end of year 2017 about our existence from certain sources that know these things and will be finally willing to talk about them. What you would call the first stage, just the very first stage of some facet of disclosure, will come from an unexpected source, very unexpected. But toward the end of your 2017, maybe into your 2018, again, very high degree of probability that these things will be finally talked about and revealed in such a way as to begin to take them seriously. So, we'll give you that, and we await your response. Good day. Oh, did I not tell you we would have a guest? Surprise. The Yael will show themselves again as a ship. Again, another major sighting, as they have said. Give you an opportunity to see what you do with that. So, culturally, you will find that there may be a surge of information that will begin to pour into and out from your Middle East that will cause a new dialogue to happen. There will be an awakening the beginnings of an awakening in that area that will allow for new lines of communication, both outward from there and inward to there, that can begin to very, very slightly crack some of the old regimes, the old ways, the old ideas that have had their grasp on that area for quite some time. And many people on your planet will begin to work with these lines of communication to open up new ways of allowing the people on your planet in that area to express themselves more freely, to begin to join, even if just a little bit at first, the global community in order to move forward in the way that serves your world best. There may be, however, simultaneously much resistance to this in that area, and the probability of violence in the area may still increase for a while in response, in reaction to this new outbreak of desire for freedom. And it may, as you say in your language, get a little bit messy. But nevertheless, through the idea of 2017, 2018, 2019 to 2020, there will be things resolved in that area that will begin in 2016 in the fall, that can come to fruition in about 4 of your years, that may allow finally certain beginnings of stabilization and at least appearances of peace to happen in the Middle East. These will be small at first, but you will know the signs if you know how to look for them. Pay attention to the news. We understand that much of it is not necessarily accurate, and much of it is not necessarily what you would call reporting. But the idea is that a lot of it is, and you can always learn to read between the lines. But again, we go back to our initial statement. These things are not given as absolutes and ultimatums and inevitabilities. These things are given as the energy that exists right now. The ones you prefer, get involved, take action, and remain, above all, in the state of being that you prefer in order to add to the momentum, add to the degree of probability in which these things can unfold. And those things you do not prefer, again, are best resolved by remaining in the state of being you prefer and taking those actions in the directions of the ones that you do, according to the signs that we have now shared with you that we perceive to exist in your collective consciousness at this time. These are a few of the signs. We will discuss this further and open these doors further in another transmission. But for now, absorb these and see what your consciousness decides to do about them, and decides to do about the state of being that you choose to create in your personal lives, that has everything at all to do with acting as examples to others about what kind of a world you truly prefer to have. Because even as you shift through billions of parallel realities every second, parallel realities, different versions of Earth every second, shifting all the time to these parallel realities, it is still that you are charting a course and can allow each Earth that you visit, each Earth that you shift to become more and more and more and more and more reflective of the version that you prefer to see reflected in your life. But you have to make the change within yourself first. So take these signs, do with them what you will, and allow yourself to be reminded that there are 13 months and counting down. So get on board. Be on the train you wish to be on. Now, all aboard. We thank you for allowing us to share this information with you at this time. And in return for your gift of sharing, we ask, in what way now may we be of service to you? With one more slight announcement. An announcement and an observation of synchronicity. For as your space agency is about to make an announcement about your planet of Mars, notice the timing and the synchronicity that it is happening on a day when your own moon almost looks like Mars because of the eclipse. That is the kind of signs you can start to equate synchronistically to understand how things are lining up energetically. For there are no accidents. A play is being put on, and all you have to do is watch the actors on the stage to understand the meaning that they are radiating to you. You may begin with your questions if you wish.